Real Estate. It's back on the air. Gee, we haven't played that in a while. Welcome back.
I love that song.
Welcome back.
Nice to be back. Do you like my glasses?
Yes.
How do they look? I need a mirror.
That's a perfect conversation for radio. How do I look?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like my
nobody can
glasses?
say, "You like my, hey, how do you like the way
Well,
I
I
look this morning?"
got
That's
these
perfect.
they're reading
Dang.
glasses, and they're orange, of course, with white trim, and I got them from Walt's health food store for $5.
Who knew that Walt
Did
sold?
Walt pay anything for this plug?
No,
Who knew that he
No.
sold glasses though?
but they have the cutest little stuff, like dishes and gifts. Gift section.
They do at Walt.
Yeah, they have some really cute stuff, and it's not expensive at all. So I would encourage you to go there.
Okay.
All right, I'll go.
There's your Walt.
Will you?
There's your Walt plug.
You could go get me a gift
Walt,
from
send,
there.
yeah, send contributions to Laura's husband.
They actually, I bought some, I don't know, puff. They were like
Oh.
cheese puffs that must be healthy because they were at Walt's. All
Are you going to talk real estate or are you going to talk health food?
right, sure. Hey, I went to a thing on Saturday night, and there was a guy there that I guess he's going to call you, but he owns
Call
a
who,
piece.
Greg or me?
You.
Because nobody can see who you're looking at.
Bill Schlechte.
Okay.
The best real estate attorney in the state of Michigan is how I define you. That's your definition.
Very good.
Anyhow, I also add that I would even call him the best real estate attorney even if I didn't like him. And there are times that I don't.
Greg, actually, more often than
I'm
not.
shocked.
More often than not, right.
But anyhow, so the
I get involved in so many different peccadillos that it's really, she's mad at me all the time.
but that's just, I think that's a guy thing.
Peccadillos?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyhow, so this guy owns a parcel of land. It sounds like it's a large parcel of land, and it's on a lake, and he owns the land. There's an island in the middle of the lake, and it's zoned. I told you what it was zoned. Open space.
Yeah.
And the township. This
Well,
is not Jackson County,
okay,
but
this is just a hypothetical. We're not
Right.
talking about an actual case.
Right.
This is a hypothetical.
so there's a house. No, there's a garage, and
We'll
there's
assume that there's a house and a garage.
no, there's no house. There's a
We're gonna assume there's no
garage.
house.
And power, water, and sewer to this
We'll
island.
assume there's water, power, and sewer to this island.
And the-
a barn and no house.
And and he wants to build a house, but can't because
The
township won't let him.
hypothetical owner of this property wants to build a house
On the island?
on the
Uh-huh.
island.
What township is it?
I don't know. I have no idea.
No.
It's not
No,
Jackson.
No.
Could be any township.
Could be
This
anywhere.
could be
It's
any
in
township
Michigan.
in Michigan. It's a hypothetical. It's not an actual
Sure.
case. Okay.
Well, it has to be hypothetical because I'm sure I don't have
So
all
what do you
the
wanna know?
details.
Your question is, can he build a house
so
on it?
we own property up north on Tawas Bay, and it's zoned waterfront. And you and I had this conversation about the zoning issues, and I would assume waterfront is kind of like open space zoning.
It is, in some respects, not quite the same as zoned as open space, but waterfront prohibits all kinds of uses within the waterfront district, although the city of Tawas did what it was supposed to do, and it was advised by its land use planners, Carlisle and Wortman out of Ann Arbor, rightly getting the right advice that in waterfront you can't zone a use out of existence. Our property is used as residence. There are a number of other residences there. There's some commercial properties within the waterfront zoning district, and they can't zone them out of existence. And so the waterfront district in Tawas City contains what's known as a special use or a conditional use. The term is interchangeable. In that a residence within a waterfront is permitted as a conditional use, you must go to the planning commission or the municipal body, in this case the city of Tawas board, and get the approval, submit a site survey, site plan, so that you define the building envelope, you must meet certain conditions, but the city cannot zone you out of existence because you're already there.
Well, what if we weren't there? What if it was a vacant lot? Does that mean we couldn't build a house on it?
Well, the interesting thing about the City of Taos ordinance and many ordinances, you still could do it even though you come into, you buy the property after it's already zoned waterfront, you still can qualify for a special or conditional use under that ordinance. In some ordinances, they don't provide for a conditional or special use, and so the issue then becomes, hey, you've created a zoning district in which I have no feasible alternative, no feasible use of the property. And then the question becomes, did you move to that condition, or was that condition imposed upon you after you bought the property? In many circumstances, if you bought it knowing that it was zoned in a particular fashion, you take it subject to that. However, there are circumstances in which the municipality's ordinance is unconstitutional on its face because it prohibits all viable use of the particular property. So we'd have to take a look at, in your hypothetical, whether or not that was the case, whether or not open space zoning is in this circumstance is constitutionally a taking of the property. Don't know off the top of my head. You'd have to take a good hard look at it. The other thing is the access. There is no access under the Land Division Act that qualifies because you have to get to it by water. But that's simply a limitation.
But they have power, water, and sewer.
Well, they probably don't have sewer. They probably have septic. Does it have sewer out there, or is it septic?
Well, I said sewer, and that was what came across. But let's assume it's septic for.
It's probably a septic system.
But
assuming it's a viable septic system on an island, it could be.
Yeah, and but it's there nonetheless, which means that it was. Why would you need septic if you weren't going to hook a toilet?
Right, and no, I agree with you. And I mean, it may be that in the circumstance you're describing in that hypothetical, that you may be able to compel the municipality to allow you to build a residence there. Again, you got to look at
because they would have had to give you permission to put in a septic, I would assume.
You know, well, now you're getting into things like non-conforming uses. I can have a non-conforming use. The ordinance gets changed after the building is in place, and then if you abandon that use under an ordinance for a particular period of time, some ordinances might be 6 months, some ordinances a year, some even longer. If you abandon the non-conforming use, the simple fact that it's there doesn't mean that you get to use it anymore.
Right, well, that kind of goes like that house on West Washington that the city was vacant and non-conforming use, and do you remember that? Well, I probably shouldn't bring
Well,
up
I don't remember that particular case, but I mean, non-conforming use, the municipality has a right, if you've abandoned that non-conforming use for a prescribed period of time under the ordinance, you lose the right to continue that use in that property. And remember, there are two kinds of non-conformings. One's non-conforming use, the other non-conforming building with respect to setbacks and things like that.
So in that particular instance, would the seller be at fault if the seller didn't disclose the fact that it was now it's now non-conforming use and been vacant over a certain period of time?
Well, the interesting thing about that is, was a house, in your hypothetical, was there a house involved in the sale at all, or was it just a sale of vacant land?
Well, no, I switched. I switched from a hypothetical to a reality, but
well, we're no longer talking about the island.
not the island. I'm talking about that house on West Washington. The seller sold the property, and it was in an industrially zoned. It was a house in industrial zoned area.
Yeah, so sold as a residence, and you have the
it's
seller's disclosure statement, and the seller's disclosure statement asks, one of the questions is there any nonconformity?
And it was a for sale by owner, so I'm sure that there was probably no
seller's disclosure statement. Then,
I mean, I would be surprised.
Then it's the buyer's problem.
Okay.
Because if the seller didn't know about the nonconformity, didn't know that it had been zoned industrial and it used it as a residence, remember, the seller's disclosure statement is only the best of the seller's knowledge. So the seller doesn't know. He says, hey, look, I've used it as a residence. I didn't know it was zoned industrial. So now that's the buyer's problem. That's what I had on my list to talk about today. It wasn't just the island hypothetical or West Washington. It was the general issue of, as a buyer, it's buyer beware for the most part in Michigan. You need to do your research to find out if there is any nonconformity, whether it's in the use or whether it's in the setbacks, whether there's a joint driveway agreement, whether there's a building and use restriction.
What about MDOT right-of-way?
Same thing. That requires a survey.
So let's say another hypothetical, you have a piece of property that has a 50-foot MDOT right away, but the neighboring one is 30 feet setback, or 30-foot right away. So then your municipality has a setback, right, from the MDOT right away?
Yep.
Or then, actually, it could be just the local right away. Doesn't have to be an MDOT. Could be your.
Yeah, it could be a local one.
Right. And you get a variance from the municipality to build closer to that right of way. Let's say they give you a variance to build right at the line.
They won't give you a variance to build right at the line unless you're downtown and every other building is right on the line. But if here's the way you're going to get a variance. Okay? The variance is obtainable only for a hardship which is not self-created. In other words, if you bought that property knowing what that setback is, that's self-created. You bought it knowing what it is. But if that right of way is changed while you own the property, now you want to do something with respect to building on it, but your building envelope is now too narrow because of the MDOT or other right of way. You go to the municipality, say, one, I have a hardship. My building envelope is too small for me to build a structure which is in conformity with the neighborhood. Second, I didn't create it. They came in and they changed the right of way on me. Third, what I want to build will be in conformity in terms of setback with all the other homes along there. In other words, I'm going to be able maybe to get a variance which says I can line the front of my building up along with the other structures along that highway, but I'm not going to be able to go any closer. So,
would a municipality would they prefer you to line your property? Let's say that your setback puts your house 20, let's say the setback's 20 feet from the right-of-way line. And the neighboring, since the MDOT line is a 30-foot
instead of 50 feet,
instead of
right,
50,
is now 20 feet closer to the road.
So would the municipality would they have a preference that your property be lined up and be more apt to give you a variance in that
Municipality
situation?
probably doesn't care
Okay.
one way or the other, and that may be a good thing in terms of getting the variance, because if they don't care, you could come in and say, hey, look, if I have to build farther back, you're creating a circumstance in which I'm being treated unfairly or unequally, and therefore I'm entitled to that variance.
Wouldn't you possibly be, as a result of that, be blocking the view, if there's a view to block, of the neighbors as a result of the difference in the...
I'm blocking a view of the street.
No,
I mean,
no,
unless
on the other
you're,
side.
no, I'm not, you mean, because on the other side, yeah, I could be blocking, well, no, because the building envelope is a building envelope. So I'm not blocking anything on the other side.
Yeah, but if you were set closer to the MDOT line, that means your back end of your house would be closer to the MDOT line, which means it's less likely to block the view.
No, not necessarily, because the the setback on the rear yard, like the rear lot line, isn't going to change. That's still the same.
Right.
And so I'm saying I need a variance on the front so that I have enough of a building envelope. I'm still going to start at the rear setback line. I'm not moving the rear setback closer to the house, closer to the road. So the only view I'm going to be blocking, I really wouldn't be blocking any more view.
Got it.
Okay? Understand?
I do. I understand your situation.
Comprende? Yeah, okay. But my point is, all of these things, they're all issues. And if you plan on doing something with that property, and we all are going to do something with the property in the future, whether we're going to add on, going to improve, we're going to sell it, whatever we're going to do, you better make darn sure at the outset that you know what it is that you have and what you're going to be able to do and what you'll have to sell later on. Okay? You know,
So if you buy a piece of property that's built in a right-of-way of whether it's this right-of-way of the local road or MDOT, you're buying a house that's already built. The house was built 1900. The owner of the property in 1940 sold the right-of-ways to the state of Michigan or whoever, and then you come along and buy the house in 80. Are you buying a problem?
Does the term SOL mean anything to you? Sure out of luck?
Sure out of luck for who?
Sure out of luck. For the
MDOT?
buyer? No, for the buyer. No, are you kidding
So
me?
MDOT could
MDOT's
say,
not out
I'm
of
going
luck.
to expand our highway.
I'm expanding the highway
and
sayonara front end of your house.
And they don't have to compensate you for that?
Not
or
at that
anything?
point. They compensated you back when the original condemnation or the right-of-way was extended into the house. If that house was built in 1900 and MDOT came through and established a right-of-way later on that went 5 feet into the house, MDOT had to pay at that time. Or they should have paid at that time. But,
Right.
okay? Yeah. What? You're giving me a funny look.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay.
People would have to watch the video to see that funny look.
Yeah, yeah. But again, my point is, you gotta check it out. And most purchasers, they just don't do it. And they're, some realtors are smart enough to at least advise the buyer, hey, these are the things you wanna check out. You do get a seller's disclosure statement on residential properties, but look, what do you think keeps me busy? I've been doing this stuff for 43
I thought
years.
golf kept you busy.
No.
Oh, it's that
Come
time
on.
of year, isn't
Come
it? You asked. And exercise, look at you. Clearly you're
But
doing something.
she's trying to backpedal now. She gives me an insult, and then now
I didn't insult you. You have a good golf game.
Thanks.
Why do you think I like it when you're my partner on Scramble? Actually, you like me as the partner because I get to use the ladies' tea.
So what do you have to sell?
All right. First of all, Artitude is coming up.
What's that?
Artitude is the formerly known as Artsy Fartsy Marketplace
Oh,
that we did last holiday season at the Vermeulen's building.
some people didn't like the name,
They didn't like the name,
so you changed it to
so we changed it to Artitude.
Artitude.
Artitude. And this year it's going to be November 19th through December 29th. Seems kind of early to be talking about holiday markets, right?
Oh, man.
But we have a
Don't
call
want to
for
think about it.
Still August.
I know.
we have a call for artists. Last year we had 29 artists. We had over $25,000 in sales. We had over 2,900 customers come through. So if you are an artist, it is a juried art show. You can go to thinkjacksonmi.com. And there should be an application there to apply to be part of the Artitude Marketplace for the holiday season. As far as real estate goes, I have a new listing at 1884 Wedgefield, which is the condominiums that back up to number 6 green of the country club. And it's a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, over 1,800 square feet. Listed for $169,900. Those are great condominiums because they're large. They're very spacious. Nice piece of property. And it has a gorgeous view. And then 750 Beverly Park Place, which is right there off of West Avenue, runs parallel with Griswold, is down to $132,900. That's a nice big 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath house, over 1,900 square feet. That's a beautiful road if you haven't been on Beverly Park Place. It's a dead-end road with boulevards. And that's what I've got. We don't have any open houses, huh, Jackie?
I haven't decided for this weekend.
Okay, so call me.
Call.
780-3800 or go to our website, 780-3800.com, and I'll help you with your real estate needs.